Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Chaos Child, and we were just going to try to figure out what could be the reason that Wakui was still talking about all this. So, anyway, starting from there, I could eliminate the possibility that Nightheart was wrong. If he was, then I'd be fine. It'd be safer to assume the worst case. Possibility number one. He was trying to drag out the conversation to learn something from us. His target might just be me, or it might be just Kazuki. What if he wasn't sure who it was yet? Perhaps he was only after the person who'd created the portal device and he wasn't sure if that was me or Kazuki. Possibility number two, he was hesitant. He was our club advisor after all. It was possible that he felt some kind of sympathy for us. No, there was no chance of that. There's no chance of that with how douchey I am. I took your side. I understand how Caruso feels, but I'm a man, like you. Was he just waiting for us to fall into some trap? Or was he just not worried because he didn't think we knew who he was? I sent a quick message back to Kazuki. We're going to run. As someone who was once a boy, I sympathized. It wasn't just that you were too lazy to come lecture me? How rude. Well, to be honest, you're right. Immediately an answer came from Kazuki. How? For now, I just wanted to get out of this room. And get away from Wakui, too, if I can manage it. I'd be like, well, we were here just playing games, but you know what? Since you came all the way out here, you're right, we should probably go. I wouldn't want to put you out anymore. So we'll go, and yeah, I'll walk Kazuki home. I'll make sure she gets home safe. It's cool. But, it's not good to go too far. Huh? You're still students, you see. If you break the law, you could ruin your whole futures. You mean the reporting we're doing? No, we haven't done anything wrong. That scared me. I thought he was talking about something else. The next thing I knew, my throat was parched. I gulped down the entire Mountain View I'd just bought from a vending machine earlier. This was looking bad. Both Kazuki and I were powerless. There was basically no chance of both of us getting away. I might have to pick the better of two bad choices. It was my one hope for avoiding the worst possible outcome. Hey, Kazuki? Kazuki jerked upwards when I spoke to her. She slowly, fearfully turned around. She was so nervous her movements were stiff. Come on, act natural. Can you go get me something to drink? I just ran out. Wait, Meowshido, are you still planning on staying here? I really have to get you guys home. I want to hear more about what you have to say. What? Really? That makes me happy. Students these days always seem to get bored when I talk about old times. Yeah, well, that's your superpower, boring us to death. Why don't we do an article for the newspaper club? We could do a whole special on you. You're embarrassing me. I was shocked to find that I was speaking as well as, say, Ito. And Kazuki wants to keep playing her game for a while, right? Kazuki stood up, uncertain. We'll stay here for a while, so go get me something to drink from the vending machine. Please? I took a coin out of my pocket and practically forced it into Kazuki's hand. Run. Thanks. Run. Run away without me. I tried to motion to her with my eyes. I don't know if she understood. She nodded reluctantly. Then she slipped past me and headed for the door. Kazuki, are you okay? Want me to go with you? Was he watching us? Did he figure us out? His expression was the same as it had been for a while now. It was the same goofy look the students always joked about. She says she's fine. There's nobody here in school right now. If you want something to drink too, maybe ask Kazuki to get it for you? And then I realized that I might have made a mistake. Kazuki's hand was already on the doorknob. Oh, maybe I will. I'll take a can of coffee. The one with a little bit of sugar. You know the one I mean. It says for mornings on it, and it's in a red can. Kazuki glanced at me. You're worrying too much about me. He'll figure out that something's wrong. Wakui was rummaging through the inner pockets of his suit. I never put coins in my wallet, you know. I always keep them in different pockets. So if I ever drop my wallet, I won't lose as much money. What if you lose your jacket? Oh, that doesn't go for bills, though. I put them in a bill holder. He really was talkative today. How long did it take to search for change? I'd be like, I got it. Don't worry. You can pay me back when you find it. Kazuki, just the drinks, please. And you know, if you forget where you put your money when you find it again, you feel like you've made a lucky discovery, right? Not untrue. I had $20 in like a wallet that like I'd thrown in my closet, and one day I like pulled it out and I was like, oh my god, there's money in here. Like it was great. You need those kinds of small joys in life. Mr. Wakui, hurry up and give her the money. I'm really thirsty. I got a little aggravated and my tone was a bit harsh. But I instantly regretted it. If I didn't act calm, Wakui would figure out what I was up to. Sorry, I'm having so much trouble finding it. Oh, here we go. Wakui finally took 200 yen out of his pants pocket. Okay, thanks. Kazuki spread out her hand. It was holding the few coins that I'd given her. Wakui put his hand over hers and dropped 200 yen pieces. The coins fell and collided with the coins in Kazuki's hand. And didn't make a sound. Huh? That's weird. This close, I should be able to hear the sound of two small pieces of metal colliding. Wakui was rummaging through his pockets again as he opened and closed his mouth. What was he doing? It felt weird. Suddenly I realized why. Wakui was talking to Kazuki, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. Why? I put my finger in my ear to see if it was clogged. Oh my god. And then I noticed something else weird. Normally I'd be able to hear the sound of my fingertip touching my eardrum. But no matter how many times I jammed my finger into the small hole, I didn't hear a sound. Come to think of it, I hadn't heard any other sound for a while either. Why? What was going on? I spoke to Kazuki. Is something weird going on? I thought I said that, but I couldn't hear my own voice. Kazuki didn't respond at all. She was just looking at the coins in her hand as if she was about to cry. Can you hear me? I yelled louder, but it didn't work. Oh, he did something. Why? Is he a psychic? This didn't make sense. My hearing was normal a second ago. There was no way I could just go deaf like that. Which meant something was going on, but I had no idea what it could be. I tried to tell myself that I might be hallucinating. I closed my lips and stood as still as I could. I listened carefully. It wasn't pure silence. I could hear what sounded like a ringing in my ears. I could still hear it. How did ringing in your ears work again? Was it really sound in the strictest sense? Was it made by vibrating air? Or was it some kind of supersonic wave? Let me Google that. Like while you're waiting, while you're freaking. Hold on, there's some weird shit going on. Let me Google it. Suddenly I felt very nervous and I opened up my web browser on my phone to run a search. When I read what I found there, I got scared. Stress is said to be one cause, but it's still unknown where exactly in the body it occurs. What the hell? I was sure that modern medicine would have an answer for that. How could they just say they didn't know? I can't believe he actually did a Google search while in the middle of this. Once I started noticing it, I couldn't ignore the ringing. The constant noise started to seem extremely unpleasant. Why was I hearing this ringing and nothing else? I looked back at Kazuki. She was holding her ears and looking around frantically. Was it happening to her too? Kazuki! I tried yelling. Kazuki didn't respond, but Wakui looked at me. His lips twisted into a grin. Yeah, he looks a little crazed right now. It was him! He was like a totally different person. The face of lazy, unreliable teacher had changed completely. The easygoing, peaceful smile was gone. He looks like... That was when I knew. He was an assassin from the committee, just like Nightheart had said. What was happening to me was because of his attack. But how could he be doing that? Was he a psychic too? It felt like the ringing was growing louder. Ooh, this is weird. It was all I could hear. It kept ringing at the same frequency, never letting up, and now we're seeing colors. It was like it was stabbing into my brain. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. I wonder if we die here if we get the pin things wrong. There was no point in putting my hands over my ears. The ringing hadn't even been there for that long, but I already felt like I was going crazy. I screamed. I tried yelling as loudly as I could, but it didn't work. No matter how much I howled, I couldn't hear my own voice. Who could have known it would be so stressful not to be able to hear your own voice? I put a hand in my throat and screamed again. Who thought it could be so stressful to see all these frickin' colors in your face? But my vocal cords were vibrating. I must be speaking, but all I could hear was the noise. Was this really just a ringing in my ears anyway? It seemed like endless thunder in the sky. Maybe I was starting to go crazy. Maybe hearing the ringing for so long meant that I couldn't even recognize it as ringing anymore. Or maybe I was just hallucinating. My head started to hurt, maybe. My field of vision kept wavering. I couldn't keep my balance. Even standing up became difficult. It was like standing on the deck of a ship during a storm. I fell to my knees, unable to stay up any longer. I begged to hear another sound, slapped my own body, and slammed my smartphone into the ground, desperate to hear any other kind of sound, but it didn't work. Then I felt my phone vibrating and looked at the screen. I had a message. Was it from Kazuki? Maybe she found a solution. I opened it, hopeful. But of course, my hopes were immediately crushed. It was from Okui, not Kazuki. And this is what it said. They say that in a completely silent environment, a human will go mad within 45 minutes. I looked up. Okui was looking down at me with a cruel smile on his face. There was a can of coffee in his hands. I wasn't sure when he'd gotten it. He took a slow sip from it and laughed. What happened to Kazuki? I spun my head around, desperately looking for her. She was rolled up in a ball by the entrance to the room. She'd covered her ears with her hands and was shaking. She couldn't escape either. Had Wakui known all along that we knew who he was and we were trying to escape? I thought I could get the initiative, but he'd been laughing at me the whole time. Still, wasn't there anything that could be done about this ringing? I thought it was a constant frequency, but it wasn't. See, the thing is like we broke out of this once. I mean, we don't know that because that was a different timeline, right? But we're Super Magic Boy. We can do it. Plus, we need to will our power here. There was a faint rhythm. What was this sound? I wanted to get rid of it somehow. Otherwise, I might really go crazy, like Wakui said. Then my phone shook again. It was another message from Wakui. Because you can't hear him, so... Do you want to know what that sound is? I looked up at Wakui and nodded. He laughed. He seemed truly happy and moved his lips in big, easy-to-read motions. It's the sound of your body. It was only then that I realized that I made so much noise, that there were so many different chaotic noises within my own body. It made sense. It was normal for a living creature. My heart beat, my blood vessels contracted, my blood cycled, my cells died and were born. My lungs inhaled air and exhaled carbon dioxide. My organs emitted all kinds of different fluids. My intestines contracted. My nails grew. My hair grew. All of those things made tiny little sounds. Normally, you would go through your entire life without hearing the sounds your own body made. Well, yeah, because it'd be so tight. Could you imagine, your nails growing and your hair growing? God damn, you'd sound like a creaky old fucking mansion. It's bad enough when you get old, your body starts making creaky fucking noises. Could you imagine your whole entire life? I guess you'd be used to it, but if all of a sudden you were listen to every sound your body makes. That's a lot, constantly, nonstop. Anyway. Oops, I hit the wrong button. But now, with my sense of hearing shut off, they were overflowing from within me. They were the sounds of my life. But there was no joy in hearing the breath of life so directly. I wasn't trying to make these sounds. It felt like my body wasn't mine. It felt like someone was giving my body orders without asking my permission. And once I started thinking that way, I couldn't stop. My mind and body had separated. There was nothing but the terrifying sounds of life. Is this literally going to be the ending? This is the ending, but it's not, none of them are really good endings, I guess. They're just there is a bad ending within the path, But they never really say this is the good ending. This is actually the true ending of the path. That means nothing, so. There was nothing but the terrifying sounds of life. My own body scared me. I wanted to rip my mind away from this lump of flesh. I wanted to rip off my skin and yank out my lungs, my heart, my intestines, every single organ, every single blood vessel. I screamed in fear, but I couldn't hear myself. Only the chaotic sound of my body as they played in layered harmony. And since there was nothing else to hear, I was forced to listen. I was forced to imagine which organ was making each sound. The sounds overlapped more and more, a disharmonious noise. That's disharmonious. Yeah. I just started reading as like disharmony. So disharmonious is what I was basically trying to say. I'm like, that's not right, but I just couldn't stop saying disharmony. Disharmonious noise that bounced off the walls of my skull. I didn't know if it was a real sound, an echo, or if I was just hallucinating. My thoughts were swept up in the flood of sound. This didn't make sense. Why was I suffocating in a flood of sound if I couldn't hear? How long was this going to last? The rest of my life? Until I died? He said 45 minutes. I couldn't stand that. Did he say that after 45 minutes I'd go mad? I wasn't even going to last that long. I didn't want to hear this noise for another second. Someone, turn it off. I'll do anything as long as you turn it off. I'd rather die. I want to die. Kill me. I crawled along the floor and reached out my hand towards Wakui's feet. Kill me. I begged for death. Kill me. I longed for the silence that awaited beyond it. Kill me. Release me from this sound, please. Kill me. Gah! Suddenly, a sound like shattering glass traveled from my ears to the rest of my body. I could hear my own voice. The sound of my shallow breathing was surprisingly clear. It wasn't just that. The sound of my clothes rustling, the tiny chirping of birds in the distance, the sound of the wind or the leaves blowing through the trees. Could you imagine not hearing anything for like even 20 minutes and then all of a sudden hearing every sound again? Be like, it's loud now. The sound of a patrol car siren. The sound of Kazuki's pained coughing as she curled up in a ball next to me. I could hear all those tiny sounds. I could hear every single sound in the world with abnormal clarity. What just happened? My vision was blurry. My head still hurt. But the sound was back. I'd never been so happy in my life to hear all this noise. We were interrupted, I see. Wakui spoke calmly as he walked to the windowsill. The glass on the clubroom window was broken. He picked up something off the floor. It was a ball. A baseball, huh? A coincidence? Or not? A baseball had come through the window? And that had interrupted Wakui's attack? It's Nightheart or whatever. This was the 5th floor. Who had thrown the ball? The baseball team wasn't practicing outside. And this room didn't even face the baseball diamond anyway. The only people in the school... No, in the whole surrounding area should have been me, Kazuki, and Wakui. I suppose this is her way of saying that I'm going to mess with Miyashiro and his friends. I need to give her a very good reason. Sheesh. She really does spoil you, Miyashiro. Well, that sounds like Sarika. Wakui was saying something. He didn't seem to be talking to anyone. He wasn't speaking to us. He wasn't on the phone. What was he talking about? All right, that's enough for today, I guess. Miyashiro, Kazuki, I'm afraid we'll have to continue this another time. Wakui's voice was gentle, but he didn't even glance down at us as he went to the door. I'll tell you one thing, though. Don't think you can get away. You've gone too far. The committee has designated you an enemy of the world. The matter's been decided, you see. No matter where on Earth you run, we'll use our worldwide network to track you. We won't let you escape. Ever. Goodbye. Be careful on your way home. Just because we accidentally made portals? Wakui left, and Kazuki and I were left alone. You're like, you're too dangerous to be left alive. She's the one who made the portal. I didn't do anything. Why am I getting punished? Like, why am I too... Well, actually, because we know that I have multiple powers and shit like that. What'd you do, a little attack helicopter? I mean, I don't know that right now in this path, but... I could hear Kazuki moan. I could hear her breathing clearly. Kazuki, are you okay? I was surprised at my voice. Was this what my voice sounded like? Oh, did she pee herself? Oh, don't show us that. That's so mean. Mm. Mm. Kazuki was still lying on the ground, shaking her head. Of course she wasn't fine. I looked closer and saw that there was a puddle under her legs. Her skirt was strangely wet, too. She must have peed herself when Wakui had attacked her. That was just how terrifying it was. Why had Wakui let us go? Why had he tortured us instead of just killing us? I didn't know, and I didn't want to think about it. Like, poor fucking Kazuki. That's so embarrassing. Like, the fact that you had no control over it, you were in, like, an extreme fucking terror. But, like, now you're so embarrassed because you're like, oh, no, there's a puddle of pee at my... Please don't notice that I... You know what I mean? How embarrassing. Poor thing. I didn't even have the energy to stand up, but I forced myself to do so anyway. I didn't want to stay here. There's probably nowhere that was safe, but I wanted to get away before Wakui changed his mind. I let Kazuki lean on my shoulder as we left the school. Of course, we saw no one on the way home. October 17th, 2015, Saturday. It was after 7 p.m. in the evening, but there wasn't a single train car coming down the Yamanote line. It wasn't just the trains. The whole of Shibuya was a ghost town. There was no light and nothing moved. The town itself was eerily clean. That was the big difference between now and 6 years ago. Wakui went inside the pedestrians' tunnel under the train tracks, listening to the voices of the monsters howling in the distance. We'd be so lucky if he just got eaten. The night wind blew past him, colder than before. The moonlight didn't reach inside the tunnel, so it was extremely dark. Wakui could sense a lone girl in the darkness. Hello. Right on time, I suppose? I was gonna say, you know it's Sarika. He's like, oh, she's pampering you, and it's like, it's Sarika. We already know. You know what I mean? The girl he'd summoned moved away from the wall she'd been leaning on, then stood with her back to the moonlight. Her eyes shone with a strange light that made Wakui shudder. You can have this back. Here. Wakui tossed the baseball he was holding at the girl. She didn't even try to catch it. Instead, it struck her in the chest and fell to the floor, where it bounced several times. Oh, you don't need it back? Or was it school property? Tell me why you attacked Takurumi Hashiro and Hana Kazuki. The girl, Sarika Onoe, said. It wasn't her usual feminine voice. There was an arrogance in it. I sort of, tell me why you attacked them. It's not her usual feminine voice. Wakui was in a position to deserve her respect, but she showed no sign of it. He didn't like that at all, but didn't feel like bringing it up. Yeah, because he's afraid she's going to kill him. The committee, as well as Wakui, its messenger, had decided to respect Sarika's position, at least for as long as their interests were aligned. Are you willing to fight the committee, depending on my answer? You interrupted me back there. That was more than sufficient for the committee to decide to eliminate you. I won't let you kill Takurumi Hashiro on a whim. If you want to try, you need to tell me why. Depending on your reason, I'll either allow it or cut ties with you. Allow it, huh? Well, that was the deal we made. But you know, he really is all you ever think of, isn't he? It's quite impressive. The Committee of 300 was cooperating with Sarika Onoe. More precisely, they were allowing her to get away with what she was doing. Tell me why. Tell me why he getting into Backstreet Boys songs. Okay. And this is all of a sudden where, like, the dance number comes in and they all start singing the Backstreet Boys, right? Right, that's... No. Sarika stared straight at Wakui. She didn't look away for an instant. Her face was expressionless, and it was hard to believe that a teenage girl could be so calm in this situation. Wakui slumped his shoulders in a slightly exaggerated fashion. Our problem is with Hana Kazuki, not Takurumi Hashiro, you see. She's gone too far. This is the same nonsense we went through 6 years ago. We've been very quietly performing our experiments here in the city, and now there's all this chaos. Since she can't control her power, it's not fair to put all the blame on her, but still, the fact is that her delusion is what caused this problem. The actions of this one girl have disrupted order in Shibuya, and perhaps the entire world. Actually, you know what? This is technically all Serika's fault. Because if she hadn't done all this crazy shit for us and hadn't sent the pyrokinetic after us, we wouldn't have run into the school, and then Kazuki wouldn't have helped us, created the portal, and then all of this wouldn't have happened. So this is actually Serika's fault. I'm just saying. And there's also unconfirmed reports that Takumi Nishijo may be backing her as well. Oh. Isn't Takumi Nishijo, that's the person they keep talking about? And that's basically how I think if we played Chaos Head beforehand, we would have known. They're probably Nightheart or whatever from the other game, but then they predict, and that they're the one who are like, wow, they're so cool. Like they proved that they were arrested for all the Chaos Head stuff, and then it was like they proved their innocence, right? And we were like, oh my god, they're so cool, and like whatever. And that's why Serika did all this and was gonna plan to like have us the murders be pinned on us, and then we then are like declared innocent, and like, oh, and then we got all the same credit, and like interesting, cool, okay, yeah. So that would Takumi must be a lot of tacos. Taco 1 or Taco 2. Taco Tuesdays. Tacos. Sounds like tacos. Is probably Nightheart. That would make a lot of sense. Interesting. Oh. If this matter isn't settled, not only will the world find out about the Gigalomaniacs, but the whole world might be swallowed up by Hana Kazuki's delusions. I can see from the look on your face that you think the committee's overreacting, but that's just who we are. If the committee hadn't been this cautious, we never would have gotten to this point. Thus, we've designated Hana Kazuki an enemy of the world. But still, she's a very rare test sample, and it would be a waste to kill her. So the committee settled on a plan of driving her insane and capturing her alive. Chikuru Miyashiro is just an afterthought. I don't think there's any other reason behind the fact that he was with her. We have our arrangement with you as well. I have no intention of killing him. I just wanted to teach him a lesson. Once we have Hana Kazuki, the plan is to give him back to you. Of course, if you like, we can kill him. How about it? Serika thought for a moment and lightly kicked her foot against the wall of the tunnel. The sound echoed down the tunnel. You told me your reason, so I'll allow it. And that was her answer. So you'll let me decide whether to kill him or to let him live? Is that it? Yes. You're sure? It's fine. You really are insane. So long as Takuru Miyashiro enjoys it, you're willing to sacrifice the man himself. Or maybe you were simply born with different values than the rest of us. By the way, I'm unfortunately not an entertainer, so I may not be as good at this as you are. Keep that in mind. Serika ignored his joke. It was clear that she felt discussions were finished. Can I ask you one question? What do you intend to do after Takuru Miyashiro dies? It's interesting that she's like, I have to do anything for you, and then she's like, well, if this is the fate and they're going to kill you and it's going to keep you entertained, I guess that's fine. Bitch, I don't want to die. You know what? You are a psychopath. And now, before we're like, you're a good wingman, you suck now. Like, bitch, what the fuck? We should have imagined a better wingman is all I'm saying. Sometimes sometimes she's good, but like right now, fail zone. Girl, she needs to smack her nose with a rolled up newspaper. Bad dog. Pooping on the carpet. There's nothing for me after that. Serika laughed, then turned around to leave. I see. How noble. Oh, Noe? There are monsters around, so be careful on your way home. But Serika didn't even bother looking back. All right, if that's the deal, maybe I can be a little more open with how I act. If I could lure out Takumi Nishijo too, that would be for the best. But for now, the problem is Hanakazuki and Takuru Miyashiro. Wakui took out his phone and dialed a number on the contact list. The phone rang for a while before it connected.
Yes, hello?
I'm Mr. Wakui, the student council advisor. I need to speak with the student council president for a moment. Is she available? Dawn came. We'd spent over 12 hours running with no real destination in mind. After Wakui's attack, Kazuki and I had hidden a Shinsen Love Hotel. Oh, hi. All this chaos had turned Shibuya into a ghost town. There were several love hotels in Shinsen that hadn't closed down. That had closed down. We snuck inside one of them and held each other tight, hiding and trying to make as little noise as possible. I knew that it wasn't going to do us much good. It was obvious Wakui knew everything he needed. But even if it was only a difference of a few percentage points in the likelihood of us being found, I wanted to stay somewhere else rather than stupidly going back to the dorm. Of course, spending all my time in one place meant that I had nothing to do but think and worry. He might find us if we stayed here. He might have already found us. He could attack at any minute. The fear became delusions, and the delusions threatened to drive me crazy. So every hour or two, he would hide somewhere else. Since we couldn't get close to Shibuya Station, we went to bookstores, department stores, and McD's around the area. They were all closed, so we used Kazuki's dice sword to break the shutter and go inside, and hide for just a few hours. But no matter how many times we went to a different place, my worry didn't disappear. The power Wakui had shown us was just that overwhelming. It wasn't physical power, it was psychological torture that drained all your will to resist. Just remembering it made my whole body shrivel up with terror. It's kind of interesting, though, that, like, all of the bad people, like, we had our dad who has mind control. Granted, he's using a machine. But, like, Wakui can, like, actually, like, torment you. Like, all of the people that we're going up against have actual, like, psychological torture at their whim. Like, oh, sure, I can make things move and I can hit you with a brick. But, like, if you start psychologically torturizing me, then that brick ain't coming at your head. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of amazing that we have to break out of that. It's not like, oh, the pyrokinetic, that's like one thing. You know what I mean? We got to learn how to use our power, but and if we've been learning how to use our power, we might the second we see Wakui coming, brick to the head. It's not going to help, but hey, we'll just have to keep killing every single person who comes near us with bricks to the head. Oh, look, that brick just fell off that building and crushed his skull. You know, there's monsters in Shibuya. We could just make one of them eat him. You know what I mean? We can do it. Yeah. But eventually, you know, they're going to send a bigger, badder psychic, like our father, after us. Of course, I didn't get a wink of sleep. Kazuki was no different. She spent the whole time clinging to me and shaking. She was so weak she couldn't even walk on her own. She was physically exhausted, of course, but the psychological exhaustion was worse. She hadn't even tried to say a word since then. I tried to pry her off me, but she stubbornly kept clinging. So I had no choice but to walk with my arm around her. Kazuki, we're here. We'd been heading for a manga cafe. Fortunately, there were plenty of places to hide in Shibuya right now. The shutter was down at the entrance of the building with the manga cafe. Kazuki, break it for us. Come on, please. We are capable of... We should be trying to make... Like, that's the only thing. In all these routes, we never tried... Like, we didn't... Because Arimura asked us not to use our power, we didn't, so we had no way to defend ourselves toward the end. You know what I mean? And, like, the same thing here. It's like, this is why we always die. Like, try to use your power. You need to be working on it. It may not save you, but at least you can make an effort. You know? It wouldn't be like, well, you just kind of laid down and died. At least you kicked a little and scream and batted at the air, even if it does nothing. At least it was an attempt, you know? Instead of taking her die sword out, Kazuki just kept clinging to me. I had no choice but to try and physically force the shutter to rise. It didn't work. There was no sign of my power, telekinesis, manifesting itself, and I couldn't find my own die sword. I didn't want to die, but I was so tired. I had no idea that running in fear for just half a day could be so exhausting. With nothing else to do, I slumped down against the shutter. Still, Kazuki wouldn't get off me. We probably weren't going to be able to keep running for much longer. Wakui had been quite clear. I'll tell you one thing, though. Don't think you can get away. Thinking about the future made me despair. It was up to someone else whether we lived or died, and that someone was coming for us soon. Could we escape when he arrived? And if we could, how long could we keep running? We had no future. I even pondered committing suicide. The idea of facing Wakui's psychological attack again scared me more than anything. Maybe someone would come to save us. Nope, because Erica said, fuck that. Suddenly I heard a sound nearby and I cringed before I even knew what I was doing. I curled up into a ball to protect my head. I knew there was no point, but my instincts made me do so anyway. But a short while later, I realized it was just the sound of a smartphone, and I gave a deep sigh. It was Kazuki's phone that was ringing, not mine. The sound kept playing, which meant that it was a phone call, not a text message. Kazuki was looking at me with terror in her eyes. A phone call? Who's it from? The screen said no. It was Kurusu. Kazuki was unsure if she should answer it. If she did, maybe Wakui would go after Kurusu too. She wanted to avoid that, probably. But right now, we wanted any kind of help we could get. It could be Kurusu, Sarika, or Ito, even Nightheart. We just wanted someone to do something. I grabbed the phone out of Kazuki's hands and answered it. Hello?
Oh, good.
Good morning. This is Wakui. Just hearing his voice filled my mind with despair. I was too scared to speak. That's strange. I was sure I called Kazuki's phone. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter. I'm sure she's right next to you, right? This couldn't be happening. That was Kurusu's name on the screen. So why was I hearing Wakui's voice? He called Kurusu and kidnapped her to lure us out. I thought for a second, and then the worst occurred to me. What did you do to Kurusu? Oh, you understand the situation already? I'm glad you're quick on the uptake. Did you kill her? No, but I don't know what I might do in the future. What do you mean? Let's meet at noon today at the Theater Cube on the 11th story of the Hikario building. Can both of you come? If we don't, will you kill Kurusu? I suppose I will. I mean, I've just got so much cleanup work to do. Cleanup from what, you ask? Of course, what Kazuki did. So it would be a big help if you just show up. My bosses want me to go big, you see? Of course, I'm not planning on adding to the chaos. In fact, we're going to be censoring all the information about what's going on in Shibuya right now. But there have been several annoying little rats running underfoot for the last 6 years. You two and Kurusu are bait to draw them out. Of course, I have no other interest in you, Miyashiro. So long as you're on time, there's nothing to be worried about. Thanks. See you at noon, okay? Make sure you're not late. Teacher's always sad when his students keep him waiting. I love crazy people who talk like I love it when they're like, oh, hey, don't forget to go. Oh, hey, and then that's fine. And they're just talking to you so casually like you're setting a lunch date for tea or some shit. And you're like, you're going to kill me? Yeah, probably. But you know what? Whatever. It's going to be a blast. We'll have a good time. Like, because then they're just literally insane. The amount of insanity you have, your insanity level to just be able to talk to someone like that when you're going to kill him is just fucking amazing. And I just appreciate it. Oh, Cooey hung up. Oh, no. I just, like, if I'm going to be, like, somebody's arch nemesis, and I'm going to be, like, a complete and utter sociopath or a psychopath or whatever, and I'm just going to, like, I want to be that kind. That's the kind I would want to be like, oh, hey, what's up? You know, you should stop by the, what's it, the cube? The theater cube? You should stop by the theater cube at noon. We'll have, like, a little tea date. It'll be great. And then I'm probably going to kill you. Did you kill Carissa? Not yet, but I might later. Just really depends on if I got the time. I'm running a little bit behind right now. But, you know, hey, we're going to have a great time. Don't be late. You know, I don't like it when you're tardy. I might have to slit your throat if you do. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of crazy I aspire to be if I'm ever going to go complete wackadoodle and be, like, an evil villain. That's the kind of evil villain I want to be. Like, the crazy complete psychopath that's just like, you literally have a break with reality and you're not, like, even angry. You don't have, like, you're just crazy for no reason. You're just doing this for like, yeah, it's fun. It's a grand old time. We're going to have a great time. It'll be great. Like, huh? Yeah. That's the kind of psycho villain I want to be. If I was ever going to be one. Yep. I don't really want to kill people because that seems like messy and I don't want to go to jail and shit. But I'm just saying, if I could play like a super villain, that's the kind of super villain I would want to be. Like, they just seem to have, like, they're just having so much fun being a little Mad Hatter, you know what I mean? Like a little cuckoo. Just sounds like a fun time. You know, instead of being, like, angry and bitter and, like, God, I hate Batman so much. Like, that just seems, like, stressful. I want to be the crazy one, like, just gonna kill you for fun. I got nothing against you. You seem like a great guy. I just like stabbing people. You know what I mean? Like, you have to admit, if that's the kind of villain you were, it sounds like more fun. Just saying. Caruso had been kidnapped? I looked at the time on the phone. Plus, they seem like if somebody calls you and they're angry and threatening you, like, that's what you expect. When someone's calling you and inviting you to, like, tea party death time, and, like, it just seems so happy about it, you're like, they're psycho, and this is not going to end well, and that scares you a little more. That's more intimidating than the angry person. You expect someone who's a villain to be angry and not like, nah, this is great, we're going to have fun. Yeah, you know? Just gotta keep people guessing, keep them on their toes. It's past 9. Well, could we kidnap Kurusu? Kazuki looked up at me in shock. I told her that if we didn't go to see Wakui at noon, she was going to die. We've got less than 3 hours, huh? If we went, we were sure to die. There just wasn't enough time left. We didn't even have time to think. I felt like I was about to cry. But I stopped myself. Why? Why? No. How the hell should I know? I slammed my fist against the shutter in frustration. I knew the answer, of course. I knew it so well it hurt. This was all my fault. I'd gotten Kazuki and Kurusu involved just to save my own life. What should I do? What was I supposed to do? The funny thing is, in this instance, he's like, it's all because of me. And it's like, actually, it has nothing to do with you. You're just casual, like, you're collateral damage. They don't even give a... Well, Kui gives no fucks about you. He's like, can I kill him? All right, that sounds like a good time. But, like, if you don't want me to kill him, I guess I won't. I just want Kazuki. So, like, this is literally all Kazuki. And this is all about her. Like, Kurusu was just, like, the easiest way to draw us out. Because, like, Wakui calling, oh, hey! Yeah! I'm your advisor! Yeah, I'm gonna need your help! Oh, now you're kidnapped. You know what I mean? Of course she's gonna trust him. There's nothing I can do. I had no way of fighting against Wakui. Both Kazuki and I were powerless. But if we didn't go to the meeting spot, Kurusu would be killed. It didn't matter whether Wakui intended to keep his promise. The thing is like, if you're like, well, whatever, we'll just let her die, it's fine, and you keep running, eventually they're going to find you anyway. And you're just going to be terrified for the days, years, whatever that you're running, that you manage to stay away from them, and then that guilt's going to eat you alive, where if you go and then he kills her, he's still going to kill you. You know what I mean? They're going to catch up to you eventually, or you're going to keep running for your entire life and be terrified. I don't know. It seems scary to surrender yourself in 3 hours, but I feel like 3 hours of being afraid and then dying is almost better than like, oh my god, we've been running for 3 years. When are they going to find? And like having that stress on your body for 3 years. Just saying. Our only choice was to do what he said, kinda. But he's telling us to go get killed. Just imagining it made my knees shake too much for me to stand up. What the hell is wrong with my foot? Did I drop something on it? Like a bruise and a cut. I don't even know how that happened. My life was going to end soon. It had been a short life, and I never thought it would end like this. Where had things gone wrong? I want to save her. Huh? I want to save No. Just this once, she didn't say maybe. But it was impossible. She'd seen for herself how scary Wakui was. There was nothing we could do. If we tried to hurt him and pissed him off, he might do something even worse to us. Far better to just let him kill us. Maybe Nightheart... Huh? Maybe Nightheart could do something. Maybe. Maybe he could. But he always seemed really shady. I couldn't imagine him agreeing to help us like that. Still, we decided to talk to him anyway. There wasn't time to think about it, so we headed straight back to Kazuki's dorm. She loaded up ESO2 on her PC immediately. Nightheart was logged in like usual. She quickly sent a message to open a chat log. Okay, here we go. Yo, you're safe? I was sure you were dead. I'm still alive. Only for a few more hours, though. Give me the short version. Okui took a girl from her club. We'll go to him at noon, otherwise she dies. Well, you're fucked. What is this asshole's problem? It's funny because if he is Takumi, right? Takumi, like, from what I understand, okay, obviously we didn't play the first game because we can't, because, like, you know. Again, I didn't do the research beforehand. I wasn't really thinking about it because I've had this game for fucking forever, but when I was originally going to play it years and years ago, you couldn't get Chaos Head anywhere, so there was, like, no physical way to play it. It was like, oh, well, I guess we just go right into this one, so. But, again, he's the one that, from what it made it sound like in this game, let's not even go with the facts of what actually happened, let's go with what they've said in this, was, okay, they arrested him for stuff, blamed him for whatever, but then he proved his innocence and he got set free, and that's why Serika's doing all this. Like, oh, so we know that. And if he really is Nightheart, or then he knew something about the earthquakes, because Nightheart knew something about the earthquakes, right? Like, what's his problem? His problem is he's dealt with enough fucking shit in his life, and he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I can imagine that would be us. Like, at the end of all this, everything is done, then all of a sudden, some fucking, like, other freaking kids having problems, and we're like, well, you're fucked. And we're like, what the hell is this guy's problem? My problem is I went through all this fucking shit on my own the last time, and even though you think that, like, oh, in the noble fucking movie sense that I should help you and come to— nah, fuck that shit. I've been through enough shit in my life. Deal with your own problems, kid. You know what I mean? Like, he dealt with his own fucking problems. He dealt with all this own shit. Like, I can't imagine that, like, he's not a superhero. I mean, we have powers and shit, but, like, we already don't want to deal with the problems we're faced with. You know what I mean? So, like, in the future, 10 years in the future, some other teenage kid's running around having the same problems and we know about it, we're like, sucks to be you. I don't think Takuru is, like, noble enough to be like, I will drop everything and help you because I have been there before. We're not Batman, motherfucker. We deal with our own shit. Like, sometimes you just can't deal with other people's problems. And, like, that is exactly what Takumi is doing here. Or Nightheart, if it's not the same person, but I'm just assuming. Well, Kui wouldn't have brought it up and made that connect so that we wouldn't make the connection in our head if that wasn't the case. Like, he's like, I've been through enough fucking shit. Like, deal with your own shit. Like, don't bring it over here, you know? But, anyway. What is this asshole's problem? Oh, whoops. Our lives were at risk here. Yeah, and his life has been at risk and he didn't want involved. Doesn't want to get involved. How could he be so relaxed? I felt like punching the computer screen. What's your plan? Help us! But I refuse. What? What? You monster. Sorry, but I'm not as useful as you guys think I am. I'm a lot less useful than your average normal. I used to be pretty powerful, but at the end of the last fight, I wasn't even human anymore. I gave up my power to come back from that, and now I can't use it anymore. How much of that should you just make up? If you want to accuse me of watching too much anime, go for it. Anyway, Wakui's goal is to get at me. I'm completely powerless, so no way in hell am I going. I got problems of my own. Can't just drop everything and come to Shibuya. Who are you, really? I'm not important. What's important is Wakui. I told you yesterday he's an assassin for the Committee of 300, right? He's nothing like the Chaos Child Syndrome patients that showed up after the Shibuya quake. He's more like me, 100% pure gigglomaniac. He's not as strong as I used to be, but he's still a powerful gigglomaniac. To be honest, you Chaos Child Syndrome patients don't stand a chance. What's Chaos Child Syndrome? Means you're a psychic, too lazy to explain more. You're basically telling us to die. The Committee of 300 has designated you an enemy of the whole world, you see, so there's no way you can escape. That's what Wakui said, too. I don't know if he's gonna kill you, but if he gets his hand on you, you're not gonna like what happens. You got 3 options. You can abandon your friend and run away and buy yourselves another day or 2 before you get caught. You can surrender to Wakui and beg him to spare your friend. But in Wakui's case, there's a good chance he's not gonna do that. And your last choice? The odds are incredibly low, but you can fight Wakui and try to turn the tables. There's a way to fight him. Can we win? The odds are pretty much 0. Oh, the same odds as drinking a soda and not burping. Is that really possible? I read that really fast, but it goes too fast. I'm sorry. No normal human being types that fast. You do have magical abilities, and it's typing faster than a human being can read. Anyway. That is not normal typing skills. It's like, ding, 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 ding. He had this, you're like, we didn't even ask a question. You already had your answers typed. You knew what we were going to ask, didn't you? So, but that's interesting. Like, it's interesting we can't, I hate that we can't see these, but it's interesting that he said he had powers and he gave them up to go back to just being normal and not like losing himself to the powers. That's kind of interesting. And 100% pure gigalomaniac. We got our powers because of the earthquake and then like whatever, that white light, and so we're like, but he was, I guess, just, so there's a difference there. I'm pure unfiltered gigalomaniac. You guys are like accidental gigalomaniacs. And then our dad was like, I'm using a machine to be one. So like he's like the bottom of the barrel gigalomaniac because he wasn't real at all. He was totally faking it. We have powers, but nothing that he ever, that like Takumi ever had. Interesting. Huh. Is that really possible? It was hard to tell if Nightheart was serious or joking. But both Kazuki and I were willing to bet on the smallest possible chance. But if you can pull it off, you can have a shot at turning things around. Tell me, what can we do? The sumo stickers. Huh? We looked at one another. That's true. If they make us go crazy, I bet they do that for the real Gigalomaniacs too, because that's how they found them to begin with. This was an amazing coincidence. It felt like there was a faint light shining down on us from above. Did we know about the sumo stickers? That was a stupid question. We knew all about them. Until a short while ago, we'd been obsessed with them. Huh? The sumo stickers, there are a lot of them in Shibuya. Don't you know about them? I know about them. I know all about them. Good, that makes things faster. There are basically two types of sumo stickers in Shibuya. You'll use the ones that the Committee 300 put up. Good so far? The designs are different. The stickers put up by the committee have the power to weaken gigalomaniacs and chaos child syndrome patients. I do think I got sick looking at them. The effect you're looking for, it does nothing to people without power, though. And you use the stickers for your own benefit. You weaken Wakui. You slowly, tantalizingly strip off your shirt. You beat Wakui. You put it on your shirt and leave. The end. No, that's not the issue here. Who would have thought the sumo stickers held such a secret? So that was why I felt sick when I saw them. That's true, we never got to that part in... No, we did! We did, because that was chapter 5. We broke into the hospital. We found the secret basement because we were following Yamazoe. And Kunisada was there. And and we looked at the stickers and whatever. And like, well, I guess maybe it didn't... Well, okay, maybe the information about the sumo stickers didn't quite come out, but that's where we found out about the 11th Rorschach, right? Which is the sumo stickers. And so maybe the whole, oh, it's the stickers there. Maybe that part didn't quite come out there, but it's like we already knew about the 11th Rorschach. So, and I thought when we looked at them, we were like, oh my god, it looks like the sumo, you know what I mean? I thought it came out there, so we kind of knew about it. Well, anyway, maybe the Committee of 300 wouldn't expect us to use their sumo stickers against them, but... the question is how we do it. A single sticker only has so much power. The most it could do is make him a little queasy. How can we use that to weaken a monster like Wakui and not kill ourselves by picking him up? I'll ask. There's no reason for me to take off my shirt. What exactly do we do? The only way is to use Kazuki's power, right? It's not going to be that easy. Yeah, I know. Like I just said, the odds are as good as drinking a soda and not burping. But if you want to beat Wakui, you got to work with what you got. You got to be willing to take on the whole world. This is your last hope. It's probably not going to work. Whether you're willing to try it anyway because you want to survive. Okay, good. This is your last hope, and it's probably not going to work. Whether you're willing to try it anyway just because you want to survive, that's up to you, not me. So we were wasting our time. I'd expected as much. There was no way to use Kazuki's power to pull that off. One of the reasons this had even happened in the first place was that she couldn't control her power. I collapsed to the ground. Giving up made me feel a little better. I didn't want to die, of course, but I could at least be calmer than when I was dealing with the fear. We're doomed. We're dead, no matter what happens. And Kurusu, do you think I'll let her go? Of course not. She'll be killed either way. There's nothing we can do about it. Thinking back, everything that's happened to Shibuya is because of my own selfishness. I should have just gotten killed at the start of all this. That's right. I shouldn't even be alive. You never should have saved me back there at school. Kazuki punched the wall, hard. The sound echoed loudly in the quiet room. How's she not broken her knuckles? Girl's got knuckles of steel. I could hear her gritting her teeth. I hate my power, but... Yeah, that's right. Kazuki was always the type of girl who was open with her emotions. She used to punch the wall at times when she was playing her game. But... I want to save Nono. I want to save her. Tears ran down her face as she told me how she felt. I was so happy when Nono invited me to the newspaper club. Being in that room was the one thing that kept me going. I'm really grateful to Nono. So I want to save her. I don't want to abandon her. But save her how? There's nothing we can do. You can't control your power. You can't. This is all happening. Oh, can you control your power? You can't. This is all happening because you couldn't control it, right? Wow, dude, not the right time to say that. True, but no. I know that. But don't you care what happens to Nono? I don't care what happens after. I don't want to think about it. My quest right now is to save Nono. Quest? This wasn't a game. And she was never going to finish that quest unless she sacrificed herself. Once she was done talking, all she did was cry. Kazuki, you really hate to lose, huh? She nodded as she rubbed her eyes with the back of her hand. She was aware of that, it seemed. She hated to lose, which is why she was always so serious when she played her games. But would that be enough to make her want to go so far to help another person? Hey, Kazuki, why did you try to save me? Because of the newspaper club. It was a very simple answer, almost disappointingly so. To me, Kazuki was just the quiet, unfriendly girl that Kurusu had brought to the club. She was always playing her games and she never talked, so honestly I kind of tried to avoid her. The most I'd ever thought of her was that she was sometimes useful in putting together the data Ito and I had gathered on the computer. To me, she'd barely even been a part of the newspaper club. Aw, so mean. You gave me a place to belong. You let me stay there even though I never spoke. I really liked you all. You too, of course, Takuru. So if you're in trouble, I want to help you. She was a much kinder girl than I'd ever imagined. She probably couldn't refuse when someone asked her for help. It's funny because she's just like the non-talkative one and she always seems like she's going to punch you. But then she's such a squishy bear. She's so cute. Once she felt like someone had been kind to her, she would never forget it. After talking to her, I finally understood who Hana Kazuki was. You want to save her, huh? If we wanted to save Kurusu and damage Wakui, we would need to plunge the entire world into chaos, and then die before we fixed any of it. The odds were incredibly low. Even Kazuki didn't know what would happen when she used her power. If we're gonna die anyway, maybe we should give it a try. Takuru, let's do it. Together. Kazuki smiled in relief, with tears in her eyes. I didn't feel any better about it, though. If someone wanted to take my place, I'd gladly switch. But if there was some small chance that at least Kurusu could survive, maybe it was just a little better than letting him kill us. Woo! You left the dorm, but we're going to find that out in the next part. So I'm going to guess that we could probably wrap this up in the next part, and we might even be able to get our bad ending. We'll see. I don't know how long. I would assume because, like, the main path ending took, like, 35 fucking hours to do. It was like, we get there, and you're like, okay, this is the end. 7 hours later, you're like, wow, it's still taking a long time to get to the end. But these ones usually go a little bit faster because they're shorter, so we will see. But I would assume we'd get the end in the next part, so I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.